Anyway, I'm supposed to represent them. It's not all up to me. It's supposed to be the will of the people that sets the course. And the government that finds the means, the best way to give the folks what they want. Of course, it's all a mess right now. The problems are so complex. There's so much crossover from one problem to another. It's hard for people to even begin to think about them. But still, I think Thomas Jefferson was every bit as great a mind as Isaac Newton was. I doubt if there's been a better form of government anywhere in history ever. And of course, getting into politics is nothing to be ashamed of. To me, it's still the biggest challenge there is. But things are changing faster and faster every day. A few years back, the greenhouse effect was just a theory, and now we're just not keeping up. But Sonia, the question is, can your ideas change that? Hasn't a lot of what we've been talking about been discussed and recognized already, and all recognized in all the environmental legislation? Clean water in 72, clean air in 77, 12, 14 years ago, and we're still falling behind. So can your ideas make these things move faster? I mean, if you're going to wait for most of the people to be ready to go along with you before you move, which is what you have to do. I'm sure you're not a secret lover of dictatorships, but wouldn't it take some kind of totalitarian regime to put ideas as comprehensive as yours into effect? So how does all this translate into politics, or doesn't it? Is this just going to be the best conversation I've had in months, or is there still a chance you can get me elected president? That's what I'd like to know.
Jack, are you still asking me for a program? I'm trying to make you embrace a vision. But you just want to know what the packaging is.
I'm a practical man. I'm from Missouri.
I thought you were from the East Coast.
That's an expression. It means show me.
Devising policies, that's your job. I do think that as long as you continue looking at things through that old patriarchal Cartesian Newtonian lens, you're gonna miss out on what the world really is. You, we, all of us, we need a new vision of the world, and we need a more comprehensive, more inclusive science to support us. There is a new theory emerging now, which places all the ecological concepts we've been talking about into one coherent scientific framework. We call it systems theory. The theory of living systems.
Living systems?
Mm-hmm. All living organisms, as well as social systems and ecosystems. See, this theory would help us get a much firmer grasp on the sciences that deal with life.
Are these all your own ideas, or do other people share them? I mean, has this been applied in the sciences anywhere?
Am I a crank? It's okay, Senator. This is real science. And many scientists, including some Nobel laureates, have been working on these ideas. Prigozhin, Bateson, Maturana, just to mention a few. Yes, it is science, but of a new kind. Instead of concentrating on basic building blocks, the systems view concentrates on principles of organization. Instead of cutting things to pieces, it looks at the living system as a whole.
How can you think usefully about things in this holistic way? That's what I don't see. You can contemplate them, you can look at them, as Thomas says. But if you want to do something, if you want to get into specifics, by definition, don't you have to take things apart? How can you talk usefully about a tree without talking about its roots or its leaves or its bark?
Oh, I could. Without even naming the parts you mentioned. Well, a Cartesian would look at a tree and conceptually take it to pieces. But then he would never really understand the nature of the tree. A systems thinker would look at a tree and See the seasonal exchange between tree and earth, earth and sky. We'd see the annual cycle, which really is one big breath the earth takes through its forests, providing us with oxygen, a breath of life, linking the earth with the sky and us with the universe. A systems thinker would look at the tree and see the life of the tree only in relation to the life of the whole forest. Would see the tree as a habitat for birds, a home for insects. But if you look at a tree and try to understand it as something separate, you will be bewildered by the millions of fruits it's producing in its lifetime, because only 1 or 2 trees will grow from those fruits. Though if you look at the tree and see it as a member of a larger living system, that abundance of fruits will make sense, because hundreds upon hundreds of forest animals and birds will survive because of them. Interdependence. And the tree cannot survive on its own either. To draw water from the ground, it needs the fungus that grows at the tip of each root. And the fungus needs the root to survive, and the root needs the fungus. If one dies, the other dies. And there are millions of relationships like this in our world, each depending on each other for life. The systems theory recognizes this web of relationships as the essence of all living things. Only the uninformed would call such a notion naive or romantic, because this dependency we all share is a scientific fact.
A web of relationships.
Yes, but this time it is the web of life itself. The theory of living systems actually provides you with an outline of an answer to that eternal question, what is life?
Okay, Sonia, let's hear it. What's life?
Well, in system language, the answer would be the essence of life is self-organization. What's so funny?
What is life, ma'am? Well, life is self-organizing. I mean, it's very nice. That's very, 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 very nice. That's very nice, ma'am. That's very, very nice. That's very nice. But I don't know. It just sounds to me like something out of Alice in Wonderland. Maybe there's somebody down here that speaks your language. Jabberwocky? Well, you know, as Merlin once said to King Arthur, don't dishonor your feast by rejecting what's come to it. Sit. What is life? Life is self-organized. Well, that's just extraordinary.
Yes, it is. And it means something specific, too. It means that a living system is self-maintaining, self-renewing, self-transcending.
What does self-maintaining mean?
Well, it means that a living system, although depending on its environment, is not determined by it. Take the yellow fields of rye around this island. With all the rain here, those fields should be green all year round, but every summer they turn yellow. Why? Well, to use a metaphor, each plant remembers that it originated in the hot and dry climate of Southern Asia. It remembers, and not even a dramatically different climate can change its inner workings. Self-maintaining, self-organizing.
I see. What about self-renewing? What does that mean?
Take us. Like all living organisms, we are constantly replacing ourselves in continuous cycles. Much faster than you can imagine. Your pancreas, for example. Do you know that it replaces most of its cells within 24 hours? That means that you wake up with a new pancreas each morning and a new stomach lining as well. And your skin, do you know that your skin falls off at the rate of 100,000 cells a minute? Do you know that most of the dust in our homes consists of our own dead skin cells?
That'll get into a poem. Our households are filled with dead skin.
But at the same time, as all these dead cells are being shed, just as many are dividing and producing new skin. That's self-renewing.
As Heraclitus once said, a man can't step into the same river twice. Sonia says a man can't shake hands with the same man twice with the same hand, right?
Yes and no. Though most of our cells are being replaced, we do recognize each other because, you see, the pattern of our organization is still the same. That's one of the important characteristics of life. Continuous structural change, but stability in the pattern of the system's organization.
And that's all there is to life?
No, there is self-transcending. See, self-organization is not only the living systems maintaining themselves and continuously renewing themselves. It also means that they have an inherent tendency to transcend themselves, to reach out and create new forms. See, that is one of the most exciting parts to me, that the basic dynamics of evolution, it's not adaptation, it's creativity.
You mean the living systems will evolve just for the hell of it, that they'll sort of go exploring whether they need to for survival or not, so that I'm not so far out of step as I usually suppose?
No, you're not. Creativity is a basic element of evolution. Every living organism has the potential for creativity, for surprising and transcending itself.
Creating what, for instance? Beauty?
Oh, yes. Beauty, too. See, evolution is so much more than adaptation to the environment. Because what is the environment, if not a living system, which evolves and creatively adapts itself? So, which adapts to which? Each to the other. They co-evolve. Evolution is an ongoing dance, an ongoing conversation.
We are systems and the planet is a system. We don't evolve on the planet. We evolve with the planet.
Wouldn't it be extraordinarily powerful if you could introduce just that one idea into the political dialogue?
Yeah, Jack, there might be something in this for you to renew your candidacy. Well, as for Sonia and myself.
I bet you're going to say that it was my destiny to come here and meet Sonia and listen to these ideas. What am I going to do about this? I come from a country where they use 40% of the world's resources to support 6% of the world's population, which makes the population so happy and peaceful that we're the world's biggest drug market. Half our teenagers contemplate suicide, and 1 in 5 girls has tried it. Would a systems thinker give nuclear energy a second thought? We're up to our necks in it, in all of its waste.
And the most important issue of what you've just been saying is the obsessive pursuit of growth. Now that has to stop.
I know. I've been all over this 100 times. Obsessive growth, pathological growth, destructive growth. But how are you going to get anybody to accept it? What am I going to do? Where do you start?
We have to give importance to the next generation. And the next. See, it was only when we failed to include them in our scientific theories and in our pursuit of growth that we placed all living systems in jeopardy. Just contemplate that horrifying fact that we are leaving to our children the most poisonous of wastes, plutonium. It's going to remain poisonous for the next generation, and the next, and the next. In fact, it's going to remain poisonous for 500,000 years. We should never have accepted that theory, knowledge is power. We should never have accepted the idea that what's good for General Motors is good for America. We need a sustainable society, one in which our needs are being satisfied without diminishing the possibilities of the next generation. But you're asking me, You're asking me, what should you do? I don't know what you